Pokemon Home, am I right? This is an interesting little announcement that's just come out over the interwebs. I woke up and took a look at Game Freak's email, well, the Pokemon Company's email, and I decided that the first thing I should do is check out this new feature. I've been kind of intrigued by the whole release of Pokemon Home ever since I heard that it was coming. Memes aside about how Nintendo is encouraging us to Pokemon Go home and sleep, the real thing that kind of stood out to me was that this system claimed to have cross-compatibility. So first things first, backwards compatibility. Let's examine that claim. Pokemon Home claims to be compatible with Pokemon Bank, which is a fantastic idea. I love the thought of being able to transfer Pokemon from my 3DS to other platforms, which I can then look at. With a 3DS on the way out as far as console support goes, it's nice to know that I'll be able to take my buddies with me wirelessly over the internet to new systems. There's one problem though. A large chunk of the Pokemon in my particular bank still aren't compatible with any of the games available on the Switch, which means that once I have them, the only place they're going to hang out is on my phone or on my Switch inside Pokemon Home. I gotta be honest, this feature doesn't particularly excite me in that regard. I would rather have my Pokemon on a legacy system and still be playable than have them sitting in a bank someplace where I can look at them but not do a whole lot else. Now there's a second thing we need to address, and this seems to be the one that, from my brief survey of Twitter, seems to be driving people the craziest. The paywall. Technically, the base features of Pokemon Home are completely free, but there are some features, such as the GTS, which actually require you to pay. In theory, this might not sound too bad. The Pokemon Bank feature, for example, is $5 a year. But Pokemon Home is $16 a year. That's right, for the cost of almost an entire Nintendo Switch Online membership, you end up paying for basically a GTS, and a universal place to store your Pokemon, plus the ability to look at Pokemon that you might have on other consoles on your phone. That's nice, but is it $16 a year nice?
No.
Personally, I'm not sold. And then of course, there's the cross-compatibility feature. I mentioned earlier that backwards compatibility was a bit of an issue, but cross-compatibility isn't without its flaws either. One of the features that Home boasts is the ability to transfer Pokemon from Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee to Sword and Shield. But you'll note that it's a one-way transfer. Just like with Pokemon Bank, you can't actually put any of the Pokemon back once they're in there. This may not be a huge problem, since Pokemon Let's Go, Eevee, and Pikachu don't exactly lend themselves to competitive battling, but on the other hand, it's a little bit disappointing that I can't actually take Pokemon from two games released on a concurrent system and transfer them back and forth. Even with the games on the 3DS, which were released several years apart, that was usually one of the main features. Granted, you might have to use Pokemon Bank to do it, but it was something that you could do. Until Sun and Moon came out, anyway. But here we are on the second Pokemon game for the Switch, and we're still not able to transfer Pokemon back and forth between the games. So we've looked at cross-compatibility, we've looked at backwards compatibility, and we've looked at the price point. The real question then is Pokemon Bank as it stands right now worth it? $16 a year for basically the ability to look at your Pokemon on your phone, and a large chunk of them to remain in a state where they are completely unplayable?
No.
I think over time the features will become a little more robust, and maybe the subscription will drop in price. Although, to be fair, most Nintendo products or products sponsored by Nintendo tend to kind of stay at the exact same price point for the majority of their release lives. Unfortunately, the similarity that it has to features that were already built into 3DS games kinda makes it feel like we're just paying for features we should already have access to. I'm not saying that Pokemon Home is necessarily a bad platform. There are some features in it that are nice, but they need to be a little more built out, I think, before a lot of people are going to be willing to buy into the program. The inclusion of the National Dex is a nice feature, especially because a lot of people have been talking about how they want the National Dex back, and I'm one of those people. I like the idea of having a central location where I can identify all my Pokemon, and the ability to check out my Pokemon on my phone is a fantastic idea. I would love to see what my shiny Absol is up to. The problem with that is that Pokemon apps on my phone don't run that well. I'm not too excited about the idea of transferring my Pokemon onto a platform that I'm not 100% sure will be stable and run smoothly on my device. So those are my thoughts on Pokemon Home. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Pokemon Home. Like I said, I'm not necessarily opposed to it. I think it's a good start, but I'm not sure that the price point and the features are quite worth it yet. So I'm probably going to hold out a little longer until after it launches and has had some time to develop. My hope is that Game Freak will evaluate feedback on the program and over time create something more robust, more feature-rich, and generally just more worth it. But maybe you already think it's a solid program, or maybe you don't think you'll ever want to use it at all. I'd love to hear your thoughts as to why you believe either of those things. Leave a comment below, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for your time, everybody. Take care today. Bye.